Hi everyone, Namaste. So after a long time, again I am continuing thermodynamics chapter. So in the last class, we completed thermochemical equations like enthalpies of number of reactions, like formation, combustion, neutralization, also atomization, enthalpy of solution. So mostly all reactions we completed. So we completed two state function. One is the internal energy, another one is the enthalpy. So also we completed the two thermodynamics class. One is the zeroth law of thermodynamics, that is related to thermal equilibrium. Another one is the first law of thermodynamics, that is mostly related to conservation of energy. So now we have to remaining whatever state functions are there. One is the entropy, another one is the Gibbs energy. So these two state functions we have to complete now. So before going to the state functions, first we will see another thermodynamic law, that is the second law of thermodynamics. So we completed first law of thermodynamics. Now we will go to second law of thermodynamics. Now actually what the first law of thermodynamics says that it is nothing but a meaning of conservation of energy. Energy neither created nor destroyed. That means energy of universe total is constant. Only one form of energy can be changed as to another form. The first law simply says that energy conservation. But there is some limitations in the first law is there. So because of that limitations, the second law of thermodynamics is introduced. So what are that limitations? One by one we will see. So the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. So the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. So what exactly first law says that? Its mathematical equation delta U is equal to Q plus W. That means the change in energy is equal to heat and work. So what the statement is? The internal energy of an isolated system is always constant. So isolated means heat constant. If work is also constant, it is equal to energy is also constant. So it simply says that energy is always constant in any isolated system. That means energy neither created nor destroyed. So in any process is happening, energy is always constant. So that is the statement of first law of thermodynamics. But the problem of this thermodynamics first law is, it only explains if the process is happening, then energy will be constant. But it does not explain if the process will happen or not happen. I think all are understanding. So it only explains if the process will happen, then energy will be constant. But it does not explain the process will happen or not happen. That means it does not explain feasibility of a process. That is possibility of a process. That simply we are calling spontaneity. So first law of thermodynamics does not explain spontaneity of a process. Spontaneity means the process will occur or not occur. If it is occurring, then energy will be constant. That is given by first law. If any process will occur, energy will be constant. That is the first law. But it does not explain the process will happen or not happen. It is not given by first law. So that is the limitation of first law of thermodynamics. One limitation is it does not explain feasibility of a process. Which will occur, which process will not occur, does not given by first law of thermodynamics. Not only this one, another limitation is the first law of thermodynamics does not explain not possibility of 100% efficient engine. So what are they spelling engine? So another important is not possibility of 100% efficient engine. So in this universe, we cannot prepare a machine which is 100% efficient. So that is impossible. That is given by second law. Any mission cannot be 100% efficient. Any engine cannot be 100% efficient. But according to first law, the total heat and work is equal energy. That means heat completely can be converted to energy or completely can be converted to work. But that is not possible. Heat cannot completely convert it to work. Suppose internal energy is constant, delta U will be 0. That means Q is equal to minus W. That means the total heat will be converted to work according to first law of thermodynamics. But in practical, the total heat can never convert it to work. So we cannot create complete heat into work. That is impossible. That's why no possibility of 100% efficient engine. It is also not explained by thermodynamics first law. So all this explained by second law. The second law simply explains spontaneity or non-possibility of 100% efficient engine. So again I am telling the limitation of first law. It only explains if any process is happening, energy is constant. But the process will happen or not happen, that is not given by first law. The first law does not explain the direction. For example, so when heat is transferring, so energy will be changed. If heat is going from system to surrounding, that means heat losing, so value will be negative. If heat is absorbing system from the surrounding, Q will be positive, that we already completed. So Q is equal to positive when coming from surrounding to system. So it will be negative, it is coming from system to surrounding. So that means according to this, so heat can be passed from surrounding to system, system to surrounding. That means from any body to any body, heat can transfer. But actually that is practically not possible. So heat always flow from hot body to cold body. That is given by second law of thermodynamics. Heat cannot flow from cold body to hot body. Simply it says that heat can be transferred from any body to any body. Just based on that sign will be positive or negative. But it is impossible. Heat cannot transfer from cold body to hot body. Only transfer from hot body to cold body. So thermodynamics first law simply explains heat will transfer from one body to another body. But it does not explain direction of that flow. From where to where it is flowing, it is not explained by the first law. So all these directions are given by second law of thermodynamics. So first law does not explain spontaneity. So spontaneity of a process is not explained by first law. That means process will occur or not occur, does not explain, and also does not explain the non-possibility of 100% efficient engine. According to first law, we can create 100% efficient engine, but that is not possible. 100% efficient engine is impossible to create. Similarly, it does not explain direction of heat from where to where it will flow. Does not explain. So all these are the limitations of first law. That's why there is introduction of second law. So all these 3 points write down. It does not explain spontaneity of a process, and does not explain the non-possibility of 100% efficient engine, and does not explain the direction of heat. So all these are the limitations. Now we will go for second law of thermodynamics. So what second law of thermodynamics says that, so there are number of definitions are there given by number of scientists. Only 1-2 definitions will see. The first definition: all natural and irreversible process are spontaneous. Another definition: it is impossible to construct a machine which is 100% efficient. That is, which convert complete heat into work. Like that, number of definitions are there. The entropy of universe is always increases. So like that, number of definitions are there. So all these are the definitions of second law of thermodynamics. So first one is all natural and irreversible processes are spontaneous. So what is the spontaneous? I will explain. And it is impossible to construct a machine which is 100% efficient. So that is the drawback of first law. So we cannot create 100% efficient machine. So first law says that we can create 100% efficient because whatever the heat is there can directly convert it into work or energy. But that is not possible. So any machine cannot be 100% efficient. Similarly, so 100% efficient means it converts complete heat into work. So we cannot convert complete heat into work. Work can be converted to heat completely, but heat completely cannot be converted to work. Similarly, the entropy of universe is always increases. So what is entropy? What is spontaneous? All one by one I will see. So these are the three important definitions of the second law of thermodynamics. So first we will say spontaneous and non-spontaneous process. So one is the spontaneous and one is the non-spontaneous process. So what is the spontaneous or non-spontaneous? Spontaneous is a process. So in any process it is called spontaneous when the process is happening without any external influence. If any process is happening without any influence, then that process is called spontaneous process. The spontaneous process definition: a process will happen without any influence after proper initiation. So after initiation, if any process is going by itself without any influence, it is going by itself, and that process is called spontaneous process. For example, water always flow from high level to low level. So to flow from high level to low level, we are not doing anything. So it will happen by itself. So when a process is happening by itself, and that process is called spontaneous process. So that means flowing of water from high level to low level. If water is flowing from low level to high level, so by itself it is not possible. So we have to use some electrical work externally. So when externally we are using work or using force, and that process is called non-spontaneous process. So spontaneous means by itself it will be happen. Non-spontaneous means by external influence it will be happen, by itself it does not happen. So this is called non-spontaneous. So here number of examples we can say: flowing of water from high level to low level, expansion of gases. So when your gases releasing, gas always expand by itself, but compression of gases does not possible by itself. That is only by influence. So expansion of gas is a spontaneous process. Flowing of water from high level to low level is a spontaneous process. Similarly, flow of heat from hot body to cold body is a spontaneous process. In non-spontaneous process, opposite. Flow of water from low level to high level, compression of gases, flow of heat from low level to cool body to hot body. All these are non-spontaneous. So I think all of you understand spontaneous and non-spontaneous. So any process by itself happening after initiation, that is called spontaneous. If any process is not happening by itself, it requires external influence, that is called non-spontaneous process. Now the problem is generally some process we know which is a spontaneous, which is a non-spontaneous. But in chemical reactions we have to identify which is a spontaneous, which is a non-spontaneous. So you can write the definition. Writing here spontaneous, we can write non-spontaneous definition here. Examples also we can write. Here example, flow of heat from hot body to cold body, flow of water from high level to low level, expansion of gases, etc. Here compression of gases, flow of heat from cold body to hot body, and similarly flow of water from low level to high level. So all these are non-spontaneous process. So now, how to identify which is a spontaneous, which is a non-spontaneous? So the spontaneity of a process, can be explained by mainly three factors. One is the delta H, enthalpy. Another one is the delta S, entropy. Another one is the delta G, Gibbs energy. So delta H we already completed. It is the enthalpy. The remaining two state functions are there, entropy and Gibbs energy. That we will see. So enthalpy. So we know enthalpy. It is the heat at constant pressure in any chemical reaction. So this enthalpy has two signs. One is the negative. Negative means what? Exo. Another one is the positive. Positive means endo. This we already completed. So whenever delta H is negative, what it is called? Exo. Exo means energy released by the process. That means the process is releasing energy by itself. So we are not giving any external energy. That means we are not using any external influence. If we are not using influence, the reaction is happening by itself and also releasing energy, and that is called spontaneous. So for spontaneous, the sign of delta H must be negative. So wherever delta H is negative, that is called spontaneous. Why? Because when delta H is negative, that is releasing of energy. That means we are not using any energy, we are getting energy by the system. The system is giving energy. System is chemical reaction. So when delta H is negative, that means energy is releasing. So when energy is releasing, that will be spontaneous. Why? Because spontaneous process is that process does not require any external energy. So in exothermic reactions, external energy is not required. Just after initiation, it releases energy by itself. So the process will happen by itself is called spontaneous. So the one condition for spontaneity, it must be exothermic reaction. So chemical reaction is exothermic, it is called spontaneous. So endothermic reactions are non-spontaneous. But see this, when we are taking H2O solid to H2O liquid. So H2O solid means simply ice. So this is a water. So this ice, suppose we are placed in the room. After some time it is converted to liquid. We are not doing anything. Just by itself solid is converted to liquid. So according to us, so it is a spontaneous process because we are not doing any external influence. Just ice we are placing, it will be melted into liquid after some time at room temperature. But according to condition, solid is converted to liquid, and solid is converted to liquid, it will absorb heat, and absorbing heat, it will be endothermic reaction. Positive means endo. But endothermic reactions are non-spontaneous. Because endo reaction some external influence. But here we are not doing anything. Simply from the atmosphere it is absorbing heat and converted to liquid. So only by using delta H, so we cannot explain which is a spontaneous, which is a non-spontaneous. So generally we are telling exo means energy releasing. So we are not using any external influence. So these are spontaneous. Endo means we have to use external influence. that's why these are non-spontaneous. But there are number of reactions, they are endothermic reactions, but they are spontaneous, we are not doing any external influence. So, melting of ice is a spontaneous process at room temperature. If suppose temperature we are decreasing to minus Celsius, then this melting is not possible. So, the spontaneity process only possible under specific condition. So, at specific condition, after initiation, the process is happening, and that is called spontaneous process. So, about at room temperature, this is a spontaneous process because solid is easily converted to liquid. But here delta H is positive in this reaction because solid is converted to liquid. Solid to liquid means endothermic. Remember, solid to liquid because it is a melting. Melting means absorption of heat. That is endo. So endo means non-spontaneous. So only by using delta H we cannot explain which is a spontaneous, which is a non-spontaneous. Generally we are using negative means spontaneous, but for all it is not possible. So that's why we have to use second state function, that will be entropy. So I think all of you understand about spontaneity. Spontaneous and non-spontaneous. Any process will happen without any influence. That is called spontaneous. So with influence it is happening non-spontaneous. For spontaneous condition, delta H must be negative, but that only not a factor. Other factor also we have to observe. The second factor which explains this spontaneity is the entropy. So entropy is the next state function. So it is the another spontaneity factor. So what entropy is? So entropy is a measurement of randomness. Whereas we are saying internal energy and enthalpy. Those are heat at constant volume, heat at constant pressure. Like that, entropy is a measurement of randomness. So, randomness of a system can be measured by using one parameter, that is called entropy. Also remember, this is a state function. The direct value of state function we cannot measure. Already I told, internal energy direct value it is not possible to measure. Only we have to identify change in state function values. That means we no need to calculate direct value of entropy. So entropy represented with S. The direct S value we cannot calculate. We only calculate delta S. That means change in entropy. This change in entropy is equal to entropy of final minus entropy of initial. So by knowing the entropy of final and initial, you can calculate change in entropy. So direct value is no need to calculate and not required also. Now entropy is the measurement of randomness. So what is randomness? Randomness is the disorderness. If any system is highly disordered, that means it has highly random, that contains high entropy. If all the particles are arranged in a proper manner, then that is less randomness, less entropy. More the randomness, more the entropy. For example, water is on heating, it is converted to gas. Yeah, this is liquid and this is gas. So in this process, what happened to entropy? Delta S. Delta S is entropy of final minus entropy of initial. So observe this. So this is a liquid and this is a gas. When compared with gas particles, liquid particles are more orderly arranged, and this is a very highly disordered. This is ordered particle. So since this is highly ordered, that means less randomness, that means less entropy. More disorder, more randomness, more entropy. So the final entropy will be high, initial entropy will be less, so this will become positive. So the entropy change of this reaction will be positive. So wherever entropy is positive, that means final must be greater than initial entropy. So like that, any reaction is asking, they are asking the what is the entropy change. For example, CH4, methane gas on combustion. produce CO2 gas and H2O liquid. So this is the reactions we have to identify change in entropy delta S. So how to identify change in S? So change in S mostly applicable to gases. Remember, wherever liquids and solids are there, so we can neglect entropy. Why? Because already I told liquids are highly ordered, solids are very highly ordered. Their randomness mostly 0. So entropy of solids and liquids we are taking as 0. So no need to take. So entropy factor mostly applicable to gases. Here in this process, product has one gas, two liquid. So liquids we are neglecting only one gas. In reactant, 1 mole of methane, 2 moles of oxygen. Here 3 gases, here 1 gas. So here that means gas is decreasing. When gas moles are decreasing, randomness also decreasing, because more the gaseous particles, more the disorder, more the entropy. Lesser the gas, lesser the entropy. So high entropy changes to low entropy, that means entropy is decreasing. Sign will be negative. So based on this, we have to identify delta S sign, it can be positive or negative. So entropy is just simply measurement of randomness. So wherever gas particles are increasing, randomness increases. Gas particles are decreasing, randomness will be decreases. So that is about entropy. Now how to calculate by mathematical formula? So the entropy of a system is always equal to heat transfer of a reversible process by temperature. So in any system, how much heat we are transferring based on change in entropy will be possible. Suppose we are taking water particles, water molecules. So when we are passing heat, so it will be expand. That means randomness will be increases. So the amount of randomness is directly proportional to amount of heat we are passing. So that's why entropy change equal to heat divided by temperature. So temperature must be divided value. Why? Because at low temperature we are passing heat, more randomness is possible. If temperature is already high, if you are passing heat, randomness does not possible. So that's why. So inversely to temperature, directly to heat. Remember, most important. So at a given temperature, the amount of heat is equal to change in entropy. So delta S is equal to Q by T. So Q is the enthalpy, nothing but in most of the reactions enthalpy they will give, entropy they will give. They ask about temperature or they ask about entropy change by giving heat at temperature. This is the most important formula. Change in entropy is equal to amount of heat transferred at a given temperature. Now this is the formula of entropy change. Now what is the sign of entropy for a spontaneous process? So that is important. So for spontaneous, already seen delta H will be negative. That means exo. So exo reactions are spontaneous. But directly delta H does not explain spontaneous. So the other factors also required. That will be delta S. So change in entropy. So change in entropy, how it explains spontaneity. So in the second law statement I have given, all natural and irreversible processes are spontaneous. That means all spontaneous processes are irreversible nature. Or the entropy of universe is continuously increasing. So that means when entropy is increasing, that is a spontaneous process. Why? Because simple examples I am taking. Expansion of gas. For expansion of gas, we are not doing any expansion. By itself they will expand. When gas expands, what happened to entropy? Because randomness is increasing, so entropy also increasing. So that means in a spontaneous process, entropy will be increasing. So generally we are taking for any spontaneous process, delta S will be positive. So that means wherever delta S is positive, then that is called spontaneous process. The conditions for spontaneous, delta H must be negative, delta S must be positive. So why I already told? Spontaneous means without any influence. Exo reactions does not require influence. Just after initiation, by itself it is happening. So that's why it is spontaneous. And expansion of gases we are taking for example. The gases will expand by itself. That means randomness increasing. So increasing of randomness is a universal process. So that's why it is a spontaneous process. So delta S will be positive for spontaneous. But it doesn't mean sometimes when delta S is positive. That is also spontaneous process. Why I already told. Sometimes delta S is negative. That is also spontaneous. Why? Because there is a reaction. Combustion of methane produce carbon dioxide and water. What is the delta S sign we have seen? Here 1 mole of gas, this is liquid, randomness we are neglecting. 3 moles of gas, so gas moles are decreasing, randomness is decreasing, delta S will be negative. So negative means according to this will be what it is? Non-spontaneous. Because randomness is decreasing, that is non-spontaneous. But when you are observing delta H of this value, so this is a combustion reaction. Remember, it is a combustion reaction. All combustion reactions, enthalpy sign must be negative because all combustion reactions are exothermic.